Hello everyone, my name is Saket Nampel. I am an automobile designer who loves to create design content for all the aspiring design students. Now, if you are new to this channel, consider subscribing because we have design podcast, we have educational videos, we also have videos on the preparation for these design exams. If you have missed the first episode of this series will be covering the phase 2, which is studio test, portfolio, and interview. This video will be talking about studio tests. Studio tests, what is it? How does it happen and how you can excel? Let's first understand why does a studio test happen. Now you have already given a mains exam where you showcased your awareness of art and design, right? You have also shown your logical aptitude. Also many exams would have asked you about mathematical questions. So basically they have funneled down few students based on the general aptitude of you. Now, design, unlike other courses, it's a very hands on, proactive kind of a job where you are supposed to solve the real life situations, real life problems. And that's why it's very important for a designer to have the sense of what goes in the real world. It's very important for him to understand the characteristic, the material properties, and so many things. So, to check that real life awareness of a design student, they are conducting this phase 2, and they would check that through studio test. And studio test, they will ask you to do tasks which are very close to the real life problems so that they can get an understanding if you will be able to perform well if they select you for design education. Now let's take an example. During my time when I appeared for design exam in 2011, I guess, so that time I was appearing for transportation design. So that's why they gave me a task where we had to design a cart which can carry a block of soap, and it should have four wheels and a steering mechanism, and all of this was supposed to perform functionally. Now just think about it for a moment. Why such kind of a task was given to us when we were appearing for the transportation design? They definitely want to understand if you have some awareness or some understanding of how a vehicle works, how a steering mechanism works. Can you use the limited amount of objects and materials which was given to us and create something which will be a simulation of the existing car? And that would be very crucial for them to understand if this particular student will be able to perform in the real world situations or not. I hope with this example you have got an understanding of why they conduct a studio test. Now let's come to the part where we'll understand how does a studio test happen. Now in the studio test you will be called to particular design college where they'll be giving you a limited amount of materials or objects or resources, and through that you will be given the problem statement on the spot. So here your presence of mind, your ability to address uh, an unknown, unpredictable sort of an objective will be tested. There you will be most probably will be sitting in a hall where all the students will be performing their tasks. So there will be a lot of peer pressure as well. You will be continuously, consciously worried about what other people are doing. Now let's understand what are the important things you should remember. Studio test happens in a very unpredictable way. You can't predict anything. You can't predict what kind of questions they will ask. You can't predict what kind of environment they will provide you. You can't predict what kind of students and competition will be there. There are so many things which can go wrong, and that's why studio tests, many people, even they have good ability, good studio skills, good hand skills, they end up getting panicked or confused and they end up performing very badly. And that's why it's very important to understand all these important things which I'm going to share with you. Firstly, you'll have to keep yourself as calm and composed as possible. Now, I know it's very easy to say, but just think about it. You are going to perform something which you have never practiced about, right? So that time, the more calm and composed you are, you will be able to think more creatively. Your brain will function in a most efficient way. If you end up panicking a lot, you will mess up your brief. You will not create something which you could have done. And that's why I have seen most of the time that the students who haven't prepared at all, who are there just to have an experience of design studio test, they end up performing better than the students who have been preparing for these design exams for a very long time. I hope you understood this point, and that's why the mental state of the design student is very crucial. Try to understand the brief properly. This is not a sketch which you can easily erase and correct it. This is something which will be happening hands on, so you can't change. Like, let's say for example, in that task where we were given to make a cart, imagine if we broke the bangles which they were given, which were supposed to be used as wheels. If we would have broken them, then what? You don't have any extra bangles to use as wheels, and then finally your cart won't be able to perform the function which was asked for you. And that's why it's very important for you to understand the objective very, very thoroughly. There should not be any misunderstanding of the objective. You can take initial 2-3 minutes just to understand what is expected. Third important thing, you have to understand the intent behind the task given to you. For example, when we were given a task of designing a cart in transportation design studio test, we were supposed to create something which was functional, where we could show our understanding of the mechanism, where we could show how a vehicle works and how much awareness I have about that. So they were not expecting you to make a beautiful looking car or a cart, right? You were supposed to make something very functional, and that's why intent is very important. So these three things, I feel they are very crucial. First of all, your mental state. Second of all, understanding the objective very properly. And third, understanding the intent behind it. There is another bonus tip for you, which is the fourth one, where you will have to keep the track of time. I would recommend you guys to keep sort of milestones. Let's say if they have given you 1 hour for that particular task, you have to create some mental milestones. Let's say for first 5 minutes I'll understand the brief, next 10-15 minutes I'll figure out what I want to do, I'll create quick sketches and things like that. So that should be over within first 15 minutes. Then rest of the 45 minutes will be for you to perform. Last 5 minutes you can keep for finishing touch up or some kind of a margin, so that in case you are exceeding your time, so that you will have that 5 minutes buffer for you. So take your time, figure out how you can set up the milestones for your studio test task. I think with this kind of description, I hope you understood what is studio test, why does it happen, and how you can excel. And I'll see you in the next video.